Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
My enemies' walls are bound to crumble, and to the floor their spears will fall. I've been made and sealed with love, but time to battle, I'll fight them all. I felt the whips and remember chains, but my soul has been forged by my father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name.
I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened, I'm not afraid no more. The Father blessed me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail, and no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turns Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you. Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you give us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of flesh. Send down your warriors with the hello, be carried down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this time is coming, I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could there be that will is my soul? No weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. I am a man, I am a champion, I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM Radio, 92.9 Cicero Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, a very special good morning to those of you who are joining us on the live video, whether it is on Facebook, whether it is on WhatsApp, whether it's on Instagram, wherever you are joining us, a very special good morning to you. And of course, good morning to my dear co-host, Mr. Roland Bola. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning to you, Ms. Duncan. Good morning to our listeners out there, wherever you are, whatever part of the world you are, whatever time of day it is for you where you're listening us, either via the radio or any one of the platforms. I say a very special good morning, good day, good evening, to you. It's another very pleasant morning here in Grenada. I've had a good night's sleep, really well slept. I woke up
feeling rested?
A little later than my normal waking time.
Wow.
I wasn't late because I'm out of bed very early. Only few people would know, but I was a little later. So it meant that I slept. I slept until morning. Be that as it may, it's good to be here. I wasn't in studio yesterday, but I took on everything. I listened from where I was to the post-cabinet brief. I listened to the 40 minutes or so that you had, Ms. Duncan. And I just thought that yesterday went well, and I hope today will be as good as we were yesterday. So, wherever you are, make some noise, wake up, call your neighbor. Let them know that Hard Talk is on. We've started, and you must encourage people to listen. You must share with everyone, because this is the program from where you will get facts and not fiction. Where we deal with reality.
No storybook thing here.
Yeah, a little storybook thing to fantasize you a little bit now and then. There's work, but the reality of life and what we have to do is what we have to deal with on a daily basis. And
absolutely.
That's what Hard Talk is all about. So, let's get it going.
All right. Well, first this morning, Mr. Bola, we of course have to congratulate all of the Form 5 students who sat the CXC examination. We know that the results came out yesterday. I know of a few parents who have been rejoicing. Some children did exceptionally well. And those are I can only speak of those that I know of. I'm quite sure that the majority of them did exceptionally well, but I can only speak of those. But congratulations to every single one of you, because even in the midst of a pandemic, you still managed to sit your exams. Some people gaining distinctions in math and so on, as I understand it. So I must extend my congratulations to these students. Of course, it must have been a challenging task to have to deal with the stresses of the pandemic, and then still having to worry about sitting your exam. But they powered through it, and congratulations to them.
Well, I want to add my voice as well with you, Ms. Duncan, to send out congratulatory messages to all of the students, but not just the students. I would not like to stop with them, because there are a lot more people involved sometimes in the successes that we all reap. What we have is we think at times that the successes we achieve is totally up to us. Yes, we have a major part to play. Wherever you or I or any individual intends to go and to blossom and to fruit, we have to put a lot of effort into it, a lot of time, a lot of energy. We have to have great interest into that. But along the way, there are a lot of people that assist us in getting to where we want to be. So the teachers, they're coming for commendations and congratulations as well. It has never been easy. The teaching profession is always one where a lot is expected, and the demands are getting greater as the world changes, as technology comes afoot, the demand for reaching. Even when the pandemic started, many of the teachers had to do virtual teaching online, getting your students to concentrate when they are not actually in a classroom setting and in your presence. They're at home, they're in the comfort zone in some instances, and as the teacher you had to get the information and the message and to ensure that they all understand, even when you could not see them and see whether they were preoccupied with something else. So, we say congrats to all of the teachers, whether you were really teaching a class virtually or not, the fact that you were a teacher, and at whatever stage, whether you taught a child at pre-primary, primary, or wherever, or you were the final teacher in Form 5 in the secondary education, you all left a mark and made a difference in their lives. I also want to commend and congratulate the parents, all of them. Some parents do a lot more and work a lot further and go the extra mile for their children, while some parents do less. But I think, all in all, the support and what you do as a parent to ensure that your child did attend school, that they got all of the necessary equipment, the books and whatever else, when they had SBAs to do, ensuring that you provide the materials for them to do it, give them the assistance. That too played a part in the success that they are now reaping. And so we want to congratulate you and encourage you to do more. And for those of us as parents who have not done as much or did not feel or wasn't convinced that we have a role to play in ensuring that our children get a proper and well-rounded education, I hope the results that your child get, being it excellent or not, that it would in some way cause you to recognize much more that your role is probably, or the lapse of you playing your role may have been the cause for your child performing in the manner in which. So they did very well. It is because you probably pushed hard with them. They didn't do too well. It's probably because you didn't push hard enough. And like I say, you are not the only one as a parent, but it's a mixed there. The community. And for all the other people who played a part, the bus drivers who transported them on mornings and afternoons, and for those drivers in particular who took extra care to encourage children it is time to go home, and so the police officers that sometimes get around the bus terminus in St. George's and Grenville and wherever and demand that after school, rather than the youngsters in the school uniform, hang out and, do whatever, that they get on a bus and get home. The councils, whoever it is, in whatever small way you played a part, we say to you, continue, because our nation needs that kind of a service and sacrifice from all of us in order for our nation to continue to grow, in order for these young people who are both the present and the future, because they are the ones who have to get involved in doing what they're doing now, so they would be in a better position when you and I are no longer able to do what we are doing, to fit into our positions and feel comfortable when they fit into it, because they have been preparing over the years. So again, congratulations goes out to everyone, the Ministry of Education and the Minister and the government of Grenada overall, because I know for a fact that there are some students who, without the assistance from government, would have never made it thus far. Whether it was through the SEED program for helping them to pay transportation or for providing a meal at school for them, or in some instances, even making sure that they were able to pay finally CXC for the exams, because I have known of cases, I've been around and I've seen many cases where up to the 99 hours we say in our local terms, our local parlance, some students was unable, was not in a position, financially speaking, or their parents maybe were not, and government had to turn around and assist them. So all of it in the mix is what helped us to have the successes. And listening to the news without getting a copy of the results, as yet to look at it, I understand that generally we did very well. There was an increase in the number of passes for mathematics, and not just the number of passes, but also the grade. There were much more people getting grade 1s in mathematics and some other areas. So the general outlook is that the students in Grenada had done very well, maybe throughout the region, but I can only speak of what I've learned thus far. So
well, I do want to make a note of that, Mr. Bowler, because one of the things that we have observed, or that CXC has observed, is that 2% of the candidates that sat mathematics this year passed, which leaves 48% that did not pass. Which, of course, is an increase from 2018. 2018, they had 49 or so percent pass in mathematics, which leads to the question, are we really... and of course, this is a topic because we haven't even reached the meat of the conversation that we really want to have today. But of course, this is something that must be brought up, and maybe in a later conversation we can look at it. Are we, as a Caribbean community, are we really looking at these results in mathematics over the years, and are we really assessing the way that we teach math? In my opinion, Mr. Boren, and of course this is just my opinion, I firmly believe that the examination, how we teach math, even some of the concepts that we do teach, should be more tailored to a child's needs. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. For example, I looked at a video the other day. While it was funny, it was very valid, where a young man was saying that half of the things that he learned about math in school, he has not yet used it in society.
I saw that video.
He saw it.
Yes.
He said he's never been paid in Roman numerals,
Yes.
nor has he had to use algebra to calculate the amount of money he has to get at the end of the month.
Yes.
And while that is funny, it puts out a very interesting point. You know, are we just generalizing the subject of mathematics and putting everything into one bracket to fall under math and everybody has to do math and so on? Or are we going to look at it in the context of getting students mathematically ready for life?
Well, I don't only think it's math, Ms. Duncan, because you're raising a very interesting and intricate point that I think the framers of the curriculum, the people who specialize in those areas and are tasked with the responsibility to prepare a curriculum for our students or for the teachers to pass on the info. Maybe they need to streamline, if that's the correct word, a bit more some of the subject areas. Or maybe not the subject areas, but the students. Because in some capitals, some jurisdictions, in some territories, very early they are able to figure out or point out, based on certain skills tests that they do, the aptitude of some students, whether that this child is more geared to academics, or this other child is more geared towards skills, and as a result, they are able very early in the learning curve to determine where do you put them. And even those with academics, are you a person who is intrigued by science? So then the kind of maths that we're talking about with the algebra and learning to do co and all these things, because I was forced to do that in secondary school, and today I can't even remember what co is and how to do it, and you know,
and the pi off,
and prepare the charts and all of those things. And I am not here to say that it is not necessary to teach it, but maybe it is better for the children who are more into the science part, you know, or engineering also. You get into all these intricate parts of mathematics. What if another child, his desire or his interest is more into skills? Construction, for example. That's a child that wants. So what does he need really, or she needs? I would presume basic maths, how to calculate area, you know.
And basic maths isn't even all that basic.
You know, to do height versus whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so you talk about, you want to do a flow of 80 square feet or 30 meters, because you're going more into this metric things of meters and thing, as opposed to square foot and so. And that child, the math that they would have to learn would be more simplified, than a student, an engineering student or a medical student or a science student. You know, maybe it's easier said than done, I believe. But we have to find a way. Because what we do, as you rightly say, is group everyone together, push them through the system at the primary level, and a similar thing happens at the secondary level. So at the end of the day, some of our students who have the aptitude for this academic performed extremely well. 10, 11, 12 CXC subjects that they will sit and probably will get distinctions in 7 or 8 or get A's or grade 1s, as they would call it now, in almost every area. And you have another student who doesn't have all that, and I don't want to use the word interest, but that is not their desire and how they're designed, and that student may be pushed to the limit where they do 7 or 8, maybe not the 10 or the 12, and gets 3 or 4, and they may not be grade 1s, because that child interest is not where we were pushing them.
But also, Mr. Bola, we have to look at the concepts, because over the years, and as an educator myself, I've seen it happen. We have a lot of parental input in the amount of subjects that a child does. And while that is good, I believe that there must be more conversation surrounding what the child actually wants to do and what those subjects are geared to accomplish. Because you have instances where a child is doing 20 subjects, but how much of those 20 subjects is that child really going to utilize in their lifetime? So it's a big conversation that we need to have, and it takes a lot of understanding, not only on the level of the child, but also on the level of the teacher and on the level of the parent, so that they can collaborate in such a way that whatever the child does is for the benefit and the development of their future goals, you know. And that is why it's also very important to set goals at a very young age, you know. Yes. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. I definitely don't want to be a lawyer now. But I wanted to be a lawyer. Kill your dad is a lawyer I want to be, you know, until I got later in life in secondary school, and I realized that, you know, maybe because I am outspoken, or because I like to talk, or because I can deliver a point, doesn't necessarily mean that it's law I have to go into. But I've picked up a liking for teaching, so maybe that is something that I might be passionate about. And these things are things that you start thinking about, you know. So it is something that requires extensive conversation, extensive looking at. Maybe what needs to happen is that math needs to be tailored in such a way where you have basic math, because right now basic math is very, very extensive in terms of the concepts that it covers. But basic math for the children who are not very mathematically inclined, but still need math, or the basic knowledge of some of the concepts.
We all need that basic
knowledge. Of course. You know, so something like that needs to probably happen. So a child doesn't feel like, okay, well, I'm not good at math. I know a couple things, but I don't know enough to pass the exam. So it means that I'm not good at math at all. Because that is usually the mentality that is derived from that kind of thing. That a child believes that, okay, well, I'm not good at math, you know, because I ain't passed the exam, or I ain't understand all the concepts, so I'm not good. Whereas it may be the concepts that you understand are what you are actually going to need to get through life, you know. So these are some of the things that needs to be discussed, and we need to stop this mentality of preparing students for an exam and start preparing them for life. That is something that needs to happen. And it's not a Grenada education system thing. It's not a teacher thing. It's not a parent thing. It's a regional community thing, you know, because it has to be a mindset change across the board, where we start preparing our children for life skills and not just to sit and pass an exam. You know,
well said, Mr.
We have a caller on the line. Let's take this caller quickly. And after we take this call, we're going to take a short break. And then we're going to come back to the actual conversation that we're supposed to have this morning, Mr. Bola, because I feel we have some blows to give. So let's take this call quickly. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to the doc.
Hi, how are you, sir?
I thought of something. I don't know. You look as though you're going to have to be a one-man government, you know.
No. We ain't talk that, boy. A lot of people going to get very upset with that conversation.
You understand?
That's the reality. No, let me tell you something. You find me up. According to them, I want to behave like your good friend over there. Is it in Sotels? Miss Bula, Miss Duncan,
yes.
Mr. Bula, you know, and he pressed the point, you know, he's a diehard. Let me tell you something. You fired me up because this thing about science, as it relates to development.
Yes.
You know, you're talking about dead-end education system, the dead-end education, where you graded the child, and you make the point. Children are now doing 14 and 15 and 16 A's.
Yes.
And you have so much of these children doing this thing. What do you do with these children when they duly qualify? Here is something, sir. And it says the development, the expansion of the economy and the private sector. The student you teach, a provision must be made for them when they because it's a mindset. And if you change that mindset of what that person wants to be, you know what you can create.
Yeah.
I don't believe in changing mindset. I believe in going with the flow of what the children learn. So when the children leave school, the economy must be broad enough to take up all the students which we educate in the various fields. We are not expanding. And I'm not saying, I always say to people, we have two governments. We have two governance systems. We have the private sector, I call the first government and governance, and the government, the second government, and the government system, the second governance. You see, the private sector have to take the lead based on the policy that the government set, and the private sector have to what you call force policy for them to expand. Because we have to take into consideration the student that is coming from school and things are changing. Is not remaining the same. So they need to be prepared for the times now and going ahead. So we need to find their niche when they leave school. I don't believe in take what you get until you get what you want. I do believe so. Because we need to make provision. I said the preparation. We prepare for that. In science, we have the mental abilities, but we can't get to what you call the applied science.
Right.
So we bring them in a dead end. Brilliant academically, but what do I do?
At the end of the
We
day.
have no room for the survival. We have to change it. And I'm saying to the private sector, as I said before, the private sector have to step up to the plate. And expand the economy, putting into creating jobs for the people we are educating, with their own survival and the survival of us human beings here. So you fire me up because I love this science thing so much that I could talk for the next 10 hours straight without giving you a chance. Because I'll tell you, we are in a situation here that if we cannot make the provision for the children that we're turning out from school, we are going to sit right down, maybe before we start, you know.
Yes.
We have to make the provision. We have to prepare the area for the children so that as soon as they leave school. Let me tell you something. I push an individual so much without subject to qualify. They call me, well, you know, you're good in chemistry and biology, etc., etc. I push that student who went to secondary school but was not able to pass the exam to take up the books again and to push that student today to sit these exams and pass it, the hard subjects, biology, physics, chemistry, and to pass it now with distinction. You know something, sir? With the help of this administration, I work very, very hard with the help of this administration from the Prime Minister level down to the Ministry of Education. That student now is an A-class student in the St. George's University.
Wonderful.
Studying biology to come back and work in this hospital here. That's what I'm pushing. So our students have the aptitude.
Yes.
But when they finish with the aptitude they have, where do we put them?
The opportunity must be
That
made
is my
available.
goal. And that's why I say you are a very smart guy. And I could see you in Parliament when you were there. I could just picture your input in Parliament when you were there.
I
Because
did my
if you
little
are
and I
talking this
could.
thing now, it only says that that was your current thinking in Parliament.
Yes.
And when you was in custom.
Yes,
Right?
I did spend some time.
You should be the control of custom today. Maybe you shouldn't do that also. Right? No, I giving you what is due to you.
Thank you.
That's what I do. I look for the best in people.
Yes.
And I emulate you there. I credit that was said now, John Rulo is a doctor.
Yes.
I grade him to a doctor based on his knowledge. And I put you in the same category, sir.
Thank you so very much.
You're a doctor.
And we appreciate your piece this morning.
Please.
I hope the public listened well and understand the concepts that you're giving.
I like to hear what I'm hearing now from the chief and what I'm hearing from people around him is that what I have been pounding for decades.
Yes.
And you made the point a few days ago, last week.
Yes.
The economy, infrastructure,
yes,
roads to get this economy going, the building industry,
yes,
that will bring back the tourism and agriculture, roads for the new economy. And that's what I've been preaching over the years. But COVID forced the thinking now, but do we have the money to do what I was saying?
Yeah,
That is the problem. I am saying we should have already prepared and have the money and done this thing a long, long time ago. We would not have been struggling for money now in this COVID year's time. I'm telling you this.
Good.
I saw we are living
we have
government.
to start somewhere sometime, you know.
Yes, but we have to press on, sir.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller.
Have a blessed day yourself.
sir.
All right, take care. Good.
All right. So we are going to take a short break. Very, very interesting contribution from the caller. He always gives such good insight on a lot of topics. But we are going to take...
able to link,
yes,
whatever the subject area, always able to link it with the need for expansion of the economy.
absolutely.
Yes.
So we're going to take a short break, guys, and then we will be back because we have some very heavy hitting to do this morning, Mr. Bola.
Exactly.
I don't know if we will call it heavy hitting, but I think some blows have to share this morning. Just a little
I ain't
bit.
giving blows and I ain't taking blows. Remember that, yeah? I'd stand by and watch.
You stand by and watch.
Yep.
That's what you just always say, no, but we'll find out after the break. Guys, we're taking a short break, and then we'll be back with some more interesting conversation for you.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs. COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy.
To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal.
When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Dispose of the tissue immediately and then wash your hands. If you notice someone has a fever and cough or other symptoms of respiratory illness, avoid close contact when possible. Let's all do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. Our health is our collective responsibility.
Section 2.4a(b) to wear a mask or suitable covering over their nose and mouth whenever they leave their home, attempt to enter, or is in line to enter a place of business, government offices, and while in a motor vehicle with any other person. Be COVID-19 smart.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
All right, guys, and we are back, and as promised, we have something very interesting to talk about. Over this past week, we've been Well, only 3 days have passed already, you know.
Yeah.
But over this
really
past week, we've been talking, or the conversation has come up about the decriminalization of marijuana. And I've been listening to different forums, different people speak on the subject, speak on the topic. And when we spoke on it on Monday, I made a pronouncement and with the hopes that my pronouncement was inaccurate. I know people don't really hope for what they say to be wrong, but I was really hoping that at this point in time that my pronouncement would have been...
You were really hoping?
Yes, I was hoping, man. I'd put a little bit of faith. You know, they say you have to have a little bit of faith. I'd put a little bit.
Well, somewhere in the Bible it is spoken of that if you have as much faith
as a mustard seed,
which is extremely small.
Extremely small. But I'd put a little bit.
So,
only
like
to be...
mustard seed or bigger than that?
Oh, no, it was smaller than the mustard seed.
Oh,
a little bit. I could only put a little bit, man. Oh, God. If you only know who we're talking about, you'd
I don't. Just
you'd
talking
expect.
About faith.
But I was hoping that I was wrong. Now, the National Democratic Congress made it a point to have a press conference surrounding the decriminalization of marijuana, calling out to the government of Grenada to take up the mantle, and adopt Carriacou's recommendations. Now, they didn't know what the recommendations were. They didn't inform the public what the recommendations were. So we don't even know what recommendations they're speaking about. Well, I shouldn't say we, but the public doesn't know what recommendations they're really speaking about. But you don't want to hear legalization of marijuana because that is something that has been conversation on the airwaves, whether electronically on a lot of social platforms or even in small groups in different communities. It's something that has been conversational, a topic of conversation. And I was hoping, really and truly hoping, that the reason they brought it up is because they were ready to start consultation and to actually have a mature conversation surrounding the legalization, the decriminalization, that is, of marijuana. Only Mr. Bowler to find out that it is just a political ploy. And the reason I say that is because in the past few days, all I have been hearing is we do it first.
Do what?
I don't know. We do it first. We bring up the topic first. We were the first to start the conversation. And what we are about to tell you here today, to all of the listening public, it's not because we feel like we need to give a response. It's not because we feel like it needs to be tit for tat. But to be honest, sometimes I get upset. Sometimes I get disappointed because information that you should be giving the public, you are not. And you're just generally misleading the public. So I listened yesterday, and I heard Mr. Bowler, and I want you to comment on it because it's your name that call.
My name?
Yes, man. I hear that you say that you congratulated the National Democratic Congress for being the first to bring up the topic of this decriminalization of marijuana.
Where and when did I do that?
I don't know. I tell you, I hear it.
Yeah, I believe you hear
No, I hear it very, very clear. It was crystal clear. I could play it for you, you know.
Well, I would love to hear
let me find it and play it for you.
If you can find it, I don't know.
But I want you to clarify for me because I didn't know that happened.
Congratulate them for being the first to speak about decriminalizing. But I am not sure exactly when or where I would have said so. My recollection on doing anything about this marijuana, except, little talk when you meet guys on the street and the issue might be raised and you have a conversation about it. I know earlier on this week on Monday, because I wasn't here yesterday, we had that conversation when we talk about, the powers that be has their rules and functions to perform, and they should probably, the time is right now for the consultation and so to begin. And we use different scenarios saying, this thing is not easy. And prior to that, on Friday, I received a call from one Miss Sherian Blackman Stevens, I think it was the reporter's name, from GBN, who said that she was preparing the news clip and told me that the National Democratic Congress had a press conference earlier on that day, and in the press conference they called for whether it was legalization or decriminalization of marijuana and for the adoption of the Carriacou position. Well, I don't even think she said the Carriacou position. And she chose to ask me, as a former Minister of Agriculture and a former government parliamentary representative and someone in government, what do I think and where does our party or the government stand? And I said, well, in my response to her, and I'm not sure if they had aired the entire clip, or if they just, as most times the journalists, the people with the journalistic skills do, the way they prepare their stories, sometimes they take a part of what you say, a portion of what you say, and fit it in wherever it could. And I remember saying in the conversation with the young lady that as far back as when I was in cabinet, which would have been 4 or 5 years ago, a particular minister was given specific responsibility to start feeling the ground as to how people think about that issue. So it's strange to hear now that you're saying that the National Democratic Congress, I congratulated them for being the first to speak on it. I went as far as to say that only last week, Thursday as well, we had, as a party, a discourse with the St. Andrews constituents, in which the political leader and Prime Minister was present, with the reps from St. Andrews. We did that virtually. And when it came to the question and answer session, an individual had posed a very similar question to Dr. Mitchell about the process of legalizing or decriminalizing, where is the government on that issue and what is going to happen. And I mentioned that in responding to the question, one of the things he said very early was, if that same question was posed to me 7 or 8 years earlier, the response I'm giving now would have been different.
And I want you to hold it right there. And the reason I'm asking you to hold it right there, Mr. Bola, is because they have also been banking on a statement that Dr. Mitchell made. I'm not sure if you remember when it was made, a few years ago, when he said, when they asked the same question about the legalization, and he said not under his watch, right? Yes. That was
I don't remember clearly when.
However, right, Dr. Mitchell also made a point to note on the 22nd of June in 2018, right? We're not talking about what he said before. We're talking about what he said after, his most recent comment on, well, it wouldn't be his most recent comment because he also spoke about it last week.
2 Thursdays ago, yeah.
Right.
Last week Thursday.
Right. So on the 22nd of June 2018, this is what the Prime Minister had to say when he was asked this similar question about the decriminalization of marijuana. And I want you to take a quick listen, and to all of our viewers and listeners, to take a quick listen to this as well.
More and more we are hearing about countries that are placing less importance and criminalizing the use of marijuana and other forms of recreational drugs. But it's an area that we have to examine, and maybe in the sense that while on our books we still have one smoking a joint of marijuana considered to be a criminal offense, we may have to examine to some extent that area of activity, because we want to spend the police time in dealing with much more major problems than just having to confront one using a joint or two of marijuana outside.
All right, and that was the statement that the Prime Minister made on the 22nd of June 2018. Now, this is after there was a survey that was done, and I want to pull up the information because, we like to deal with facts here on this program. We ain't just saying things all over the place, right? Now, Carracou's Regional Commission on Marijuana, right, outlined a document in 2018,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Good. Now, in the recommendations that they made it a point to state that each country must do a proper assessment to outline policies that will be specific to their country. So it wasn't a broad thing for them to say, okay, well, we find all you should legalize marijuana. This is what y'all should do. X, Y, Z. Every country should have it done by this date, by that date, by the other date. And it's simple, 1, 2, 3. Just put that in the law, and that is it. It was not that. They made a recommendation.
Well, they made several recommendations on different. I think there were different models that they suggested.
Absolutely.
But left it up to the state, the individual state. And in my statement to GBN, I did not say what came from Carriacou, but I made it a point to say that, look, this issue, whether of legalization or decriminalization, is not an overnight fix. It is something that will take time because there must be consultation, because there will be people who will be for, there will be those who are against, there will be those who have different opinions, and we need to listen to everybody and have this thing properly fleshed out before a decision is taken. Yes? So, and I went on to say that I am happy that the National Democratic Congress has come out and speak on it. So whenever that consultative process begins, that they will come out and support it. I've never made a point to say that I'm glad or I commend them or credit them for being first, because I am aware that behind the scenes a lot of work has been happening as it relates to that issue.
And let's talk about the work that has been happening, Mr. Bola, because we want to deal with facts. We want to educate the public. So they're making it a point, and you see, we have to bring it up because it upsets me when things like this just go unsaid and people leave with the wrong impression. So we have to educate people where it's necessary. Now, a lawyer in the PRO of the National Democratic Congress made it a point to say that we don't even have a board set up for rehabilitation of offenders, right? That is inaccurate, right? So let us educate. Because the government appointed a rehabilitation of offenders board, and they did that in January of 2018, or it was incepted in January of 2018, right? And so far, I'm not sure if more has been rehabilitated from the last report, but the last report showed that 91 individuals have had their records expunged, right? Yeah. Now, further from that, right, there was and that was in your time in office. You should know that. Yeah. In 2017, November 1st to be exact, there was the Rehabilitation of the Offenders Act that was passed in Parliament.
Well, it started with Dr. Sir Lawrence Joseph, I recall, doing some work and making the recommendation to government. I remember several side meetings, which I was not really privy to be in the meetings because it was more a meeting for the legal minds. But I remember even at a party level, discussions was held. The Honorable Peter David was part of that discussions, and several other people. And then government was of the conviction that it was necessary, and that was to say that after a period of time, minor offenses that are being held against an individual should be expunged once that individual, especially young people, would have proven over a period of time that they had transgressed against the law. They paid the penalty, they paid the time, but you look at them over a period of time and you recognize that in some instances, rehabilitated, or they have changed their attitude, their approach to life, they've learned the lesson from what they did. Why do you keep that burden on them? And it was lifted, and the law went to Parliament. It was passed by both houses and adopted, and subsequently the Rehabilitation Board was put in place. So it is unfortunate. As per usual, I believe, when we look at it and you go back into history and you look over the years, the opponents of the new National Party, and in particular the National Democratic Congress, always does these kinds of things. Say things either without checking or because they think it is politically expedient, or it's a prudent thing on their part.
I believe they know. They know, Mr. Bola.
I think they take for granted that the Grenadian public are not clever enough, they don't read that much, or whatever it is they think about us or how they view us, that they will just put things out there in the public.
And that is what upsets me.
And we will just, just gobble it down.
Because I want us to also, more facts, I want us to also understand that in 2018, 2018, a survey was done by Mr. Peter Wickham. You're familiar with Mr. Peter Wickham?
Yes, of course.
Right? And that survey was meant because, of course, you know you have to do consultation on the ground, right? To find out how people feel about the topic of the decriminalization of marijuana. And that survey proved to reveal that 30% of Grenadians, right? 30% of Grenadians are for the full legalization. 31%, right? They are in favor of partial discrimination. Then we had the 22% who do not believe that it should be decriminalized or legalized or anything. And then, of course, the 17 undecided, right? And that was a survey that was done in 2018. So when you come and you sit down on Friday of 2020 and say that you were the first to bring up the topic, it definitely shows that it's not that they did not know, but they did it with the general sense of either gaining a youth vote, youth support, or they did it to mislead the Grenadian people on purpose. And that, Mr. Bola, upsets me.
Well, speaking of Peter Wickham and the poll done, it was not only in Grenada. He did a poll in several other countries, and the results were being published, and copies, was being given. But further to that, and from when I spoke to the reporter on GBN, I said, in my time in cabinet, and I spoke about a minister being given that responsibility. I didn't name who it was, but at the time it was the Minister for Health. But it was revealed after that a committee was set up by cabinet, consisting now of the Minister with responsibility for health,
correct,
Minister with responsibility for legal affairs, and Minister of Agriculture, to start the discussion to drafting whoever they think is needed to give support to that committee so that the consultation should start. So if all of this backroom work is being done, how come you then become the first person? And I was aware of some of the things being done before. So why would I say thanks to NDC for being the first? But what does it matter? Even if you are the first or the last, it is an issue of national interest and importance. And if you are interested in the issue, like I said, I hope when the consultations begin that they would come forward and give their support. And I recall, that was Friday. On Monday night on Beyond the Headlines, that issue came up to a certain extent. And in the panel there, you had Mr. Andal from the National Democratic Congress, who was a former leader of the party. You had Honorable Peter David representing, government/party, I believe. I don't know who he was representing, Chris Diali from the Senate and so, and Miss Mitchell, I think Cassandra Mitchell, I hope I have the name correct, representing civil society and to a certain extent the youth. And I recall the Honorable David saying to the gentleman that, look, you people have said openly that you want it and you want to support it. Please don't exhibit similar behaviors like the referendum.
He said that yesterday too.
Behind the scenes, private meetings, you say one thing, you give commitment to something. Because in the last referendum, I'm not even talking about the first one, the last one, the NDC as a party, as an organization, clearly said to the people that were controlling the referendum, because I heard someone say the referendum failed because it's politicians. I didn't know that politicians was controlling, politicians was leading. I know Dr. Francis Alexis. He used to be a politician, and for years I haven't heard him contesting. So I don't know if he still holds or wears a political hat, but I know he was the lead person with several other persons that was on that committee. But the point I'm making is that he said, you say one thing to the committee, you decide to give your support to back it, and when push comes to shove, when the time was right, you back out and you're from all kind of reasons not to support. So we hope on this one that you will be not true to form, but you will change and keep your word.
Yeah.
Because, it's mind-boggling to a certain extent, but probably not surprising, because that has been the nature of the National Democratic Congress and its operatives. Say one thing when it suits, well, everything they say it for the purpose of political expediency. They say it because they think they could trick somebody into giving support to them and vote, right? This is an issue that throughout the region is being discussed. The report is in Grenada. In fact, how can you be the first when that same report from the Carriacou team that was examining the whole issue of decriminalization or legalization of marijuana had to first go to the CARICOM heads?
Exactly.
Where they had to be in agreement with the recommendations and the findings. Where our own Prime Minister, Dr. Kit Mitchell, went to the heads and accepted the report and signed on to it and gave a commitment that Grenada, like the other jurisdictions, is going to look at it, is going to assess it, and as we said on Monday, to determine what form or fashion, because the report didn't say, okay, everybody have to legalize or everybody has to decriminalize. And I made the point that we have to, I even made the point when I spoke to the young lady on Friday when she phoned me and asked me to do the report. I said, listen, we have seen some jurisdiction move forward already in the sub-region and did what they have to do. We cannot take what they do wholesale and implant it in Grenada. Because I said, while we are from the same region, there are certain things about us that are different, you know, territory by territory. So we have to do what Grenada believes is best for Grenada.
But also, I want to read something here that was passed in 2017, because as of November 2017, Grenada enforced the rehabilitation offenses legislation, right? Which provides a person with convictions for possession of marijuana joints, right, to have their records removed after 4 years.
Yeah.
2017.
That's what the rehabilitation bill is all about.
Facts. These are the things that we deal with here. We deal with facts. But we have a call on the line, Mr. Bola. So let's take this call. Good morning.
Ms. Duncan, Mr. Bola, good morning.
Hi, morning.
The clip, because I heard it yesterday by itself. What is disappointing, though, and maybe Blossom got a little carried away, but I think Blossom should have asked the guest to answer the caller's question. Because one caller did ask, and I was hoping to get through likewise, when was this, and Miss Carla Joseph kept saying the science, laughable though, but she could not have said when the survey took place. She said, we, meaning that the NDC did a survey. In fact, she went on to say that they spoke to a couple of youths in River Road, and that was so embarrassing to hear a lawyer, and she keeps saying that she is a member of the court, which is true by her being a lawyer.
Yes.
But the fact is that you come and tell people the science, and what is hypocritical about Ms. Joseph in particular, she rants and raves about the healthcare system being inadequate in Grenada. Yet for all, she's always saying that the time has come for it to happen. Now, how do you measure? When in the same breath, the night before, Mr. Andal, when asked by the host, Ms. Campbell, if he sincerely thinks that we are ready, Mr. Andal's response was that, well, it depends, but we need to have more conversations, more discussions, more dialogue on it until such time that the country feels that we are ready. Two different responses coming from the same organization. It tells me that confusion left, right, center, and to the bottom. The fact of the matter here is that if you say that the science, you cannot come and say the science says so when you have no proof to back up what the science says. And to add insult to injury, you said that we, meaning the NDC, and she said she was not part of the government yet, but now she is part of the NDC, meaning as a political party, so she's saying we. And lo and behold, to this day, she could not say when, where, and with whom, and for what period did that so-called survey undertaken by the NDC was commissioned. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Well, I tell you, caller, thanks so very much. Because I did not hear the interview. You know, I am speaking based on what you're telling me, with the hope that you are representing factually what was said. And I recall the part because I did look and looked at the entire Beyond the Headlines program. And the caller is so correct that you have a former political leader and still a member of the organization saying that the dialogue must be held. He's not sure if we're ready for putting in whatever thing in place.
But if the former political leader is saying that dialogue must be held, then why is it that as a party they felt the need to go out there and just say broadly to the public that we must adopt these recommendations that wasn't PM even the head of Carriacou at that time?
I'm not sure if he was the head at the time when it was when the recommendation came. I'm not absolutely sure. So
we have a quick call on the line. Good morning. Hello, caller. Good morning. All right. It seems like we lost that caller.
All right. So that person can call back.
They can call back, yes.
No, the point I was going to make, what you are asking, why did they say? It is a demonstration of how this organization operates. As a political party, they have several heads. They have different units. And the different units feel and say things differently. I recall many years ago, when they referred to themselves, the party at the time, meaning the NDC, as having two fractions, the progressive and the conservative.
Yeah.
That's how they call themselves then.
We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning. I'm okay. Great.
All right. One, I think NDC don't have a clear policy because they're all over the place. And because Andal was on another program this morning, and the host asked him, because he said something, now is the time. Now is the right time. And the host asked him why now is the right time, why they didn't do it when they were in office in 2008 to 2013. And he made a lot of all over the place comment response to that. One of it, he said, of the carcinogenic properties in the marijuana and the young people, and then he talked about it is impossible for any government to apply all of the policy in 5 years, in one term. So I want to know if that was part of the policy then in 2008, And the next thing is that these people keep making statements of corruption and conmen and so in the country. Mr. Bola and Ms. Duncan, now this is a very serious matter. I am a Grenadian. My children are Grenadians. I don't want, when my daughter has to travel, or my son, or any of my daughters or my son have to travel, people stop them and say, you come from a country with a lot of corruption and con people. We have to put you in a special room and check you out before we let you come into our country. Now, these statements coming from the mouth of people, I guess they're not thinking of what they're saying. Now, and I find the police must step in here. And it's a thing that we have to take seriously because they're not pointing finger and say, well, this person is corrupt or that person is corrupt. They say they are generalizing Grenada has a lot of corruption. And I find the police must pick up these people and them and let them show them who the corrupt people are, what their corruption is, and who the con men are. And con men or con women or whoever. Because this is a very, to me, it is a very serious allegation. And that is why I was very much in support and in defense of Mr. Bosun when he got upset. We as Grenadians need to be careful in what we're saying because we have Grenadians out there. I have children that travel, right? And we have to be careful in what we do and what we say. And I find it's time that the police pick up these people and they have proof of corruption, bring it forward. But stop generalizing that Grenada and Grenadians are corrupt and con people. All right, Ms. Bola, Mr. Bola and Ms. Duncan, please enjoy the day.
Thank you. She ain't Miss Bola yet anyway. I know that Miss
more person call me Miss Bola
she
today.
ain't, but the regularity with which people are saying Miss Bola, I'm starting to think differently, you know. I know my wife is listening to, she always does, because she tells me when we have our conversations later on where she thought I was a little too spicy, I was a little too hard, and she grades me.
Don't worry, I know Mrs. Bola is listening and laughing because she knows the man she married.
And I love the fact that I am not yet totally a Muslim, but I want to get into the faith because they said it allows you to, Anyway, I'm not sure that from what the caller say whether the police can just step in because of what somebody say, except that person is inciting violence and, I think we have another caller.
We do. Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I would like to make a little first opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can give your opinion, my dear.
First of all, I want to thank God, most of all, and the government right now that played a very role, policemen, nurses, doctors, ministers that played a role in the COVID time.
Yes.
Yes. You listening?
Yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
And can you lower the volume of your radio or whatever device you're using to listen to the program? Can you lower it, please?
And the government right now played a very role, policemen, nurses, doctors, ministers that played a role.
You still with us?
Grenada, yes.
Yes. So you just speak on the phone and forget the radio in the background because it's a delay. You wouldn't hear yourself immediately. It's delayed.
Okay.
So just talk. Just go ahead and talk.
It's better now.
Yeah.
Right. In Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have to say is this. We have a God above. And God is so good to us in the nation. If you look wise, all the different countries that go through the COVID, a lot of thousands of people die all over the world. And in Grenada, we are so blessed.
Yes.
God is so good, and he used the ministers' wisdom to how to govern this nation. I want to say, and it hurt my spirit with this lady, Miss Bonadine or whatever she named, I want to rebuke that spirit in her in the name of Jesus, because it is not a good thing that she coming up with. It have all these things in Grenada already, and we having problems. I am a mother, and I have 7 boys, 1 girl. And out of the 7, 3 is on this condition, right? Mm-hmm. The drinking and the marijuana. I have a son, he actually go in Mongi about 20 times in Mongi, in and out. And if you go in Mongi, you've seen all these young people, young, brilliant people, they could be walking and things like that, and in Mongi, owing to these drugs. I married, and my husband is on alcohol. And most of all is the mercy of God. I grew up my children because licks in my skin all the time. Licks.
Wow.
No money. When he come, go to work, no money. It's the grace of God. Prayer is to pray to God and ask
Continue
God to send somebody to help me, please. And by God's grace, up to now, I have a son. He's 44 years, and he in Mongi all the time. But this short time, the last time he was over there is because he came out because owing to the COVID.
Yeah.
They didn't want to keep him that long. And I was so fearful because he don't have no control. His mind gone. And I was thinking, oh, my God, if this boy go out there and this COVID will bring it for the household and thing. I pray and I trust God, I don't live in God. God bless this nation. And for this thing what this lady coming in with, the trick of the enemy using her to bring this thing to corrupt the nation. Now is the time to rejoice and give God thanks and praise. Nobody don't die in Grenada. We are blessed. She want to use this metal to dominate the place, and it will be a reproach for our Prime Minister in years to come. The devil using her to push in this thing for you accept it. And when election just round the corner there, you know what it is? The majority of the people white want to vote for she because that is the inference, that is the tradition she using to get people to vote for them. But I say she need to go to God. She need Jesus in her life. And if she want to do that, let she plant it by her backyard for she to smoke. Honestly, I'm vexing my spirit. The thing bothering me since yesterday I had to call. You understand?
Yes.
My husband, he separate me into this the alcohol. And I have experienced what I'm saying. I am 74 years. She is not in it, so she will know. I have a next son on alcohol. He's my first son. He's 53 years.
Yeah.
He's a trade man working every day hard and sweaty. You know what he does when he gets his money? Unless the law sent, don't spend on alcohol. He don't give up. He don't even have a bank account. He don't have no saving whatsoever. So tell Miss Bonadin, do it in her backyard for herself and leave God's people alone. The young generation coming up, and it will affect them in time to come. For years, it's going to affect the nation. We mightn't see it right now. But this is a poison she wants to inject in the government. We're going on too nice and too happy. But she come and bring this sickness. It's a disease she coming with. And the lady that spoke yesterday, I don't know if she name is Miss Joseph.
Miss Joseph, yes.
Miss Joseph, all of them have education to make money, but they don't have no fear for God. They just want the devil use them and to corrupt the nation of Grenada. We are happy people by God's grace, and we have the right person, the right government, God placed here for this country. That's my opinion.
Well, we thank you for your opinion, my dear, and feel free anytime to call to make your concerns heard, to give your opinion, like other people will do. They may not be same like yours, but continue to pray, please, as you have been doing, not just for your family, but for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and for those in charge to make the correct decisions. Thank you again. Enjoy your.
And you know, the caller brought up an important point, because it goes to show not everyone will agree.
Yes.
With this.
Yes.
Everyone will have their separate views and their separate opinions on how this thing should be rolled out. And that is why I said yesterday it is very irresponsible of the National Democratic Congress to just go out on a limb and make a broad statement like that. No research, and they talk about the science. I really want to hear what science it is. You ain't consult no doctor. You ain't consult no scientist.
But you don't know.
But where? So then what? Where is the details?
Well, maybe they will bring it. Now that the people are demanding the details, maybe it will come forward. You know, I don't want us to say they didn't. And next thing they did, probably they just haven't brought it forward yet. I hope they can.
I hope they can. We have a call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. Good morning, Mr. Bowler.
Good morning.
Actually, it is a really good morning in Grenada today.
It is. It's sunny morning and bright, yes?
Oh, it's an awesome morning. This is a new day.
Yes.
So if you will indulge me for a second, there's some things I would like to touch on with this cannabis thing.
Yes.
As much as we're afraid of change, every single day we breathe, it's called a revolution. It's called change. Your skin changes every day. You don't have the same skin you had yesterday. Just because we're not accustomed to change doesn't mean we should standing in our own way of change. I would like to commend both parties for bringing this subject into the forum of the public view. I've been after it for a while, and it's awesome to actually hear not private opinions from individuals from the parties, but actual dialogue, forum set up to actually have dialogue to do something about this issue. The caller that just came off the phone, Granny, I love you. I feel your pain. I understand you may have some sons or children that have mental issues that have to be in Mungay. I will say to you today, Granny, it is not because of weed that they're in Mungay. I will not blame alcohol for their reason to be in Mungay, but I would say there's a clinical reason that they're in there, not a substance reason. Now, there are many people in Mungay with substance issues. However, I haven't seen any research by any reputable anything that says without a predisposition to mental issues, cannabis makes people insane. Just as I haven't seen any research that says cannabis has taken the life of any human being that consumes it in any form. So, Granny, again, I feel you. I hope your sons get the treatment they deserve and need so they can live productive lives. But please don't be misguided about why your sons are in there. Cannabis didn't put them there. Secondly, the discussion that is happening and will be happening in Grenada needed to happen a long time ago because there's been way too many people in Grenada using cannabis, and we don't have a regulated industry for it. So many people abuse it in a way that should not be done. One of the things I like to say is I don't think we should be talking about smoking weed in Grenada, only because that is the least productive thing you can do with the cannabis plant, is smoke it. Even in terms of ingesting, the worst way to ingest the plant is to smoke it. There's a wealth of information out there of how many things we can do from the industrial side of cannabis, which is really my focus, meaning the male plant. There's two plants, male and female. Female is the one they use for the psychotropics. A lot of medicines come out of it. The male plant, medicine comes out of that too, but most of the industrial things we get like cloths, concrete, lumber, plastics, all these things can be made from cannabis without ever having to smoke a joint or sell a bud. My personal opinion is I think if we focus more on the fact that we can create factories here that can employ 2,000 young people without having to sell a bud or smoke a bud, I think that is a way to create a sustainable, renewable economy. That even if it's a niche, we will have a lock on something in the universe where we are the special ones. We add value to it. So we can then send it out of here and make money, not selling smoke. If we focus on this conversation around the smoke and the female aspect of this conversation, we will have cut out 90% of the revenue that could be generated from cannabis. That's depressing just thinking about it.
Good.
Like, I kid you not.
Yeah.
So as much as people use cannabis in Grenada, as much as people are excited about the fact that they won't go to jail for smoking a spliff, I think the conversation needs to be elevated above smoke to the point that factories can be built here. So our young people, the very intelligent, perceptive, creative young people we generate every year that has to leave our shores to go to some quote-unquote shiny house on the hill, we can keep them here and make our house on this hill the shiniest house on any hill. And I would challenge anybody to prove me wrong.
All right, Carl, I want to ask you a question quickly, because we're not saying that it's how you use the marijuana is not the conversation this morning. While a lot of people are happy that the conversation is now in a public forum, the question I really want to ask you is: do you believe that the public is really ready for this baseless conversation? Because you just brought up a lot of points on how it can be used apart from smoking. There is this stigma attached to marijuana that, you smoke marijuana to get high, you smoke marijuana, you get crazy. These kinds of stigmas are attached to it. But do you believe that it should have happened in a more controlled setting first, where you have consultations with educated people about cannabis, such as yourself, because you seem very educated on the product and what it can do apart from just smoking it. But do you believe but do you believe that these sort of conversations should happen first before political organizations just go out on a limb and just say, well, let's adapt this policy and let's just legalize the thing?
Well, I will put on my political hat right now.
Oh, you have one?
Watch me run for office right now. You're going to vote when I finish. You're going to vote. it is always advisable to have a plan of action before you start talking.
Right.
Regardless of what you're trying to do. What it does is it shows a sign of confidence to the listener or to the viewing public that you have your stuff in order. You know what you're about. As a matter of fact, I was talking to some people the other day, and in America there's this thing where we judge politicians supposedly by whether or not you can buy a car from them. It's the car salesman theory. If a politician comes to you and is trying to sell, and you look at him, you judge him and say, would I buy a car from this person if they were selling me a car? And if the answer is no, you don't buy that. Having a plan takes away that. It doesn't look like you're a bad car salesman. It looks like you actually know what you're doing, you're confident in your delivery, and when asked questions, you can answer in a confident manner that says, I've done my homework. This is my thing. Piecemealing a thing in any circumstance does not look good from anybody. So I'm not sure what exactly the point of reference you're coming from. However, I would say anyone going out to put information out on any that when you do, it looks like you're unprepared for the moment. That is not good. That's not a positive sign. It doesn't engender confidence in your ability to do things. It makes people question you and think you're ill prepared.
Of course.
So.
But also, caller, I want to make the point that it is important that when you come to people with information, your duty is to sway the undecided and to change the minds of the previously decided. So you want to come out with enough facts, you want to come out with enough information so that you don't leave people to in themselves come up with their own opinions on why they believe it should or should not.
Well, see, I totally agree. That's why that's why the delivery is important, because even if you weren't averse in all the different facts that there is to the subject, your delivery needs to be in a way that even when they question you, you're still able to. For example, I saw the Peter David announcement, and how he handled the questions was very interesting. It's not that he had all the information. It's not that he's an expert in every different thing that they asked him. He had the right, proper answer to everything. But the way he answered it made you feel like, okay, you seem to know what you're talking about, or you seem to have some command of the subject. You seem to be. It's not wishy-washy. It's not. Well, it's okay. You asked me a question. Here's my response. Even if my response is wrong, indifferent, or bad, at least you're able to answer it with confidence. Yes. Confidence is something that is very important in the public sphere when you deliver in messages. If you are doing, it's like if I'm trying to, Ms. Duncan, if I'm trying to date you, I just see you, Mr. Bowl is there, he wants to date you, we're both looking at you, we're like, wow, she's pretty, let's see if I can get, I would like to be married and settle down and have a family. You look like a lovely yearly, you seem intelligent. Okay, if I came up to you, and I'm trying to pitch myself to you, and I'm all, I mean, you're kind of pretty.
What, mister? We going to give a special program to talk dating thing, eh?
You see what I mean? Are you going to really take my account? Or is Mr. Bowler come up and he's talking tonight? Hey, what's going on? I mean, I got a nice thing, you know. It's a different, even if you know he's talking nonsense to you. You know
the confidence, yeah.
But he comes off in such a way, you're like, you know what? I can rock with you. Let me see what happens over here. Because this guy, he doesn't even look like he's assured of his own self. If you're not assured of yourself, it makes anything you're saying look really bad.
Yeah. Well, caller, the conversation has started, so we hope to hear more from you on the topic, because you seem to be very educated on cannabis and its effects and so on.
Hold on, Ms. Duncan. The conversation has started here on
here, of course.
But what needs to happen, as we have said on Monday when we first started that the powers that be, meaning now the government, and we've learned that there is a committee that was done, I think, since 2019 at the cabinet level, where the Minister of Agriculture, Health, and Minister for Legal Affairs, to start the ball rolling. And maybe now they get a little injection, they get a little stimulus, because people are talking more open about the subject matter, that we can really see a well-structured sort of consultative process going forward. And that is when we'd expect people like you who have some ideas, have some skills, because I remember on Monday when we spoke, we said, this issue is not just about legalizing or decriminalizing. I even used a word I know that doesn't exist. I said permitizing, because it may come to the point where you may say, well, look, based on what we want to achieve from this whole thing, based on where we see the industry going, how we can help our economy, we may want to give permits to certain people to say you can grow a certain quantity of a certain standard that can get into the medical industry or wherever. Similar to what you're saying, getting the high-end value from the thing. So, but the conversation has to happen, and we need to get feedback. So we need people like you when that starts, who has ideas, to make yourself available so your conviction on the matter can help others to make their mind up.
Before I'm cut off or leave, I must say this. I've been at this conversation for a while. That's why I said I'm glad that it's finally in the public's forum. I would love, we will be discussing, we'll meet eventually and we'll discuss certain things, but I would love to, especially, I am a Rasta person in Grenada.
Right, great.
And the Rasta voice will be needed to be heard.
Yeah.
So we definitely will. All the things you heard me say right now,
yes, is
coming from the Rasta community, basically. That's how we feel about cannabis in Grenada.
Let me just ask you one quick question. I don't want to keep you extra long. There is a little movement in Grenada, but I think there are some Rasta men and maybe some people who are not Rasta with here, but Rasta in the spirit and the soul, that had been having little meetings and having these conversations.
That was me.
About so you're part of it. I know of a gentleman from Telescope who I've been speaking with. Yes, who has...
that's me.
All right. Great.
As a person I've been trying to get all this thing going.
Good. Well, it's good to...
I've called you guys before, We've had conversations on the show before.
Yes, we have.
I've tried to get you guys to talk about it. But again, officially, there was not a statement from either political party. So asking people to step out on limbs in Grenada is tricky because them limbs can be very fragile.
Yeah.
So I understand that, you know what I mean? But again, I'm glad that I'm glad that you guys are receptive to the conversation, whether you're for or against it. At least you're able to give ear to voices. I thank you, and I commend both of them for saying it. I encourage the ministers and the Prime Minister himself, especially since that he said he personally will vote for it, and I respect that. However, he did say that once brought to him, if the people are crying loud enough, I can't stand in the way because democracy we run. Again, please keep the fire blazing on this and move forward and know that this is not about smoke. Stop the conversation about smoke. Change the conversation from smoke to industrial uses and medicinal purposes, and we'll have a much better conversation. Granny won't feel so scared that her son might end up in Mount Gate.
All right.
You can't smoke a male plant.
All right. Thank you so much for all of that information, caller. And, of course, as the conversation evolves, we'll be hearing more and more people coming out with these facts and these different opinions on cannabis and what it can do for our economy, what it can do for healthcare. And I know some callers were calling, so we have to take these calls. Good morning, caller. Hello, caller. Good morning. Oh, no, it seems like we lost that call. So try calling back again. See, there were a few callers calling behind the scene. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Can you lower the volume in your background, please?
Okay. Ms. Duncan and Mr. Bola, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. And I don't want to cut you short, but we are limited in terms of time. So
yeah, I'm aware.
Okay, great.
Yes, what I'm saying is that the timing of that call I find is very unwise. In a time of COVID, where the immune system is being attacked, why call for the decriminalization or legalization of these things when in fact it will pose a problem to people that are consuming the stuff?
Okay, we hear you, but decriminalizing or legalizing does not always mean making it available to smoke, to consume. because there are a lot of other uses, and we've seen several countries, even in the United States, there are many states that do have people farming marijuana for medicinal purposes, not for smoking. So, it could be seen in different light. That's why we say the conversation must happen. Everyone must have their say. You have your say, others have their say. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to smoke it because it's legalized. There could be conditions.
If I have a WhatsApp number, I can furnish you with some scientific evidence that prove
Give him the WhatsApp number.
a lot of things, yes?
Yes, that'd be good. The number is 440-7377. It's the same as the one you called, but we have a WhatsApp line for that number.
Okay, well, I will send you some information.
No
we thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Great.
To the person in the diaspora who has been so faithfully calling us, I promise to take your call as soon as it becomes available again.
Well, I hope there would not be a call on
the line at the time. I hope so, because he has been calling.
How you know that he?
I know the number. So you don't think I know my callers?
Okay.
I know my callers.
I just asked. I thought you had a screen or something in front of you that would make you see who calling.
All right. We have another caller on the line. Hello. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Bola, and good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Good morning. Morning.
I just want to say good morning to Grenada, Carriacou, Martinique, all the listeners, home and abroad. A beautiful day today in Grenada. Ms. Duncan and Mr. Bola, just allow me to congratulate the CBC boys from Grenville.
Yes.
That passed and get all the subjects. I feel so happy. Not my children, Like children that are always put on the bus and see they take the bus.
They are yours. They are your children.
Encourage them.
Yes.
And some of them fathers come and tell me, well, your boy get everything. I feel happy for these children.
That's very good.
I continue praying, and I told them that I expect they go do good.
Yeah.
And I understand all of them that always pass. They get everything. I thank God
Excellent.
for that. And those that even get, I still thank God for them. Then they go do better next time.
Next time around.
We need to encourage them. And I heard some people as parents this morning making such a negative statement on other radio stations that even if you have 11 and 10 subjects, if you want to go and walk on the road, and it's not nice. It's not nice. You say things positive, and think about the children. You take what you will get till you get what you want.
Absolutely.
You understand? And these fathers and mothers are making a statement about if they get 11 subjects and if they will go in the supermarket and all. And it's not so nice. Yeah. So I just want to say thanks again to all the TVC boys, all of them that live in Grenville. Always see they take the bus and give them good words of encouragement.
Thank you for what
you've done. I want to thank them and the teachers and the parents on that it's COVID thing, and look, they made the parents proud.
Yeah.
And I want them to continue. And the journey just starts. From some city, they're going to go on to university, and they're going to go on to what they have to do. So, that is from Miss Camille, and good morning to Mr. Watt, and them and Depot, and them in America. Are they struggling down here? All of must give me a little call. Have a blessed day, Mr. Bola, and everybody.
Thank you, Miss Camille.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one yourself. Yes.
It was like someone only want to make my contribution, and I'm speaking Grenadian language. So people understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because I don't get that feedback of people passing and saying, I doesn't make no contribution, but I speak in my language.
Of course.
That my people could understand.
And every contribution is valid.
Take care of yourself and continue doing your good work.
All right. My friend go say I ain't take he call this morning, but I can't control how many people call, my friend. So yeah, you just have to keep trying.
He still have a few minutes in which
he does still have a few minutes
in which he can get.
I
feel like your boyfriend, girl.
No. I don't even know the gentleman, and I just know him calling on the program.
Okay.
Ask me his name, and I can't tell you.
Well, you could ask him his name. I'm interested in him. But anyway, I think that the contributions are good, and it gives an indication that which I hope will be sooner than later, that the actual consultation start when I think the authorities feel safe enough to go out into the public, into the small groups,
Yeah.
And get people to make their contribution, that no one will feel that the contribution is not valid. Because whatever you have to say, you must say it. Once you say it in a respectable manner, I think someone once said the only question that is foolish is the question that you didn't ask.
So I'm cutting you short because look, my caller calling back. Hello, good morning.
Ms. Duncan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I want to know what Mr. Bola want to know. I don't know what Mr. Bola want to know at all.
I want to know. She said she have a caller who will say she can take the call and whatnot and whatnot. I said, well, who is that person? She said, well, she know the man name. If I ask her the man name, she know. I said, well, I don't have to ask her. You ask the man what his name is, not me. Anyway, good morning to you, my friend.
Yes, good morning to you all. First, I want to say thanks to this lady that called, and she would have expressed herself because people go through things.
Yes.
People need to talk, and I mean, she found a platform to talk on, and I know there are maybe hundreds of people just like her that is going through the same thing. But what I really want to say is that whenever consultation starts, if this is just an advice to whoever would be doing it, if the National Democratic Congress is going to be involved, please do it live. Don't do it behind closed doors, because if it happens behind closed doors, they would agree on certain things and then they would come out afterwards and they would condemn the same thing that they agreed upon. We see that happening in the referendum. And I think this is not a subject that should be done in some boardroom where nobody else knows, but you just come out and say, well, we have agreed on this and that and the other. So my thing is, if they're going to go through a consultation, please do it so that all of us can see. Yes, let's go live. Let's have it recorded. Let's have them on record agreeing or disagreeing to certain aspects. So then when they come back, not if, but when they come back to condemn, then people would know, but no, you're condemning the same thing that you said, yes, let's go ahead with this, that, or the other. So that I want to say. Have a good day, Mr. Bola. Let not your heart be troubled.
About what, may I ask? My
okay.
My dear
all I say, just let...
I try not
Ms. Duncan see... You try not to, Ms. Duncan, see you very soon.
Very soon.
Have a great day yourself. And the last time I heard you say you almost fall off a ladder. Be careful, eh? Don't go thinking about what Mr. Bola might do after you talk and fall off no ladder. I want you to stay alive. Be good to yourself.
Okay.
Take care.
All right, take care.
All right. We could probably take one more call to the person out there who has been trying and not getting through. We could take one more call, Mr. Bola, but I want to appeal to us as a people. You know, we have varying views, and we will always have varying views.
As a matter of fact, Ms. Duncan, just to cut you, it is healthy
to have varying views.
To have varying views.
Yeah.
If all of us just agrees on every single thing, then something has to be wrong.
Something has to be wrong.
We must have varying views. However, when we bring our views across, we have to accept the fact that people may disagree with our views. And so we have to sometimes compromise. Not create, because a lot of times what creates the war and the confusion is because I feel that my view
is more important.
Supersede,
yes,
more important, and you feel the same way, and so we get into a clash.
Absolutely. We have last caller for the morning on the line. Hello, good morning.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you thought it was graceful to take my call as the last caller of the morning.
No, because of time.
Good morning,
Mr. Bola, good morning. Good morning to Mr. Bola. Mr. Bola, when did you become a Muslim?
But since people start offering me other ladies to be my wife, yes?
That's what I'm asking. But I don't want to take up much time. If I don't, then you might be able to take another call.
Yes.
The call I'm saying is, from the listeners over here, what they are saying, let me note this down. This way hard talk finishes at 11:45. It's kind of unacceptable. They want the full up to 12 o'clock, especially on a topic like today. Especially on a topic as today. I have people, we have folks in New Jersey who has similar radio programs on the weekends, and that was part of the agenda last week, Saturday, on a couple of both Saturday, Sunday, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of last week. There were 4 radio stations out here, has community ties. 3 of them is Grenadian-based people, Grenadians, and that was the topic on all these stations. Please. Last caller has a point.
Well,
the lady with the 7 sons, the lady with the 7 sons is a valued call.
Yes.
Whenever you guys sitting down to have that meeting, let it be an open meeting.
Yeah.
All right, I like that point. And that's all I was contributing today. Folks, have a great day. Have a blessed weekend. And hopefully, see all you soon.
Thank you. We appreciate your call. And he's a time manager. I mean, he cut it right on time. I just want to say to the callers, we respect every view. Whatever people has to say, they speak of issues that has happened to them. We take it. We listen to it. There are some things that we note, and we bring it forward to the powers that be, those who are in authority. Ms. Duncan is the host of the program. I'm just the co-host, but we are not the managers of the program. So our last caller, we understand what you say, but changes has been made to the program. In the past, you had 2 hours up to 12 o'clock, but what used to happen in the beginning was you had the national reports and other things, so the actual conversation didn't start at 10. So it's just a reverse. 15. You start the conversation at 10 now, and you do the national report and others at the end. But that's the way the program was before. It's just what used to come first is now last. Like the Bible says, those who are first shall be last, and those who are last shall be elevated. Don't watch me like that. I read my Bible.
I didn't say
Every
nothing.
Every time I want to quote something from the Bible, you turn and watch me with a little scorn in your face.
Me?
I am a believer in some things that some of you don't believe in. Anyway, the point I want to end with, because we're running out of time, is that the conversation will continue. I'm not saying that every day that is what it will be on Hard Talk.
Yeah.
But we believe, and from what we're hearing from the government, we have come to the place. I know COVID had stymied some things because of the mass gathering you can't have. And then when the person spoke about consultation, let it be open. I don't believe it will be just one mass consultation for the entire country. From the way things has happened before, when you start the consultation on that, you may meet sectors. So, for example, the religious sector may have the consultation, and they say at one time the legal fraternity, the medical profession at a constituency level, maybe even the school children. They are young, but some of them may understand this issue better than we do. So it will be done with different sectors, different levels, the labor unions, what have you. The people, the powers that we will structure it in such a way. Someone had called for it to be live, as many as can be live. I believe it makes good sense. So even if you are not in the room and you're not participating there, but you can hear and you can get information, and it can guide your thought process because you hear so many different people. But all in all, we believe that, as it was said before, nothing can stop an idea when the time has come.
Absolutely.
Right? So if now is the time, it is the time. We are not saying here on Hard Talk that you should say yes or say no, or you must say smoke or sell or grow. We're saying when the conversation happens, I think everything will be tabulated, and in the end, how we move forward as a country, as a people, with that issue of decriminalization or legalization of marijuana would come from the people. Guided by those in authority, those placed to run the affairs of this country. I do hope, however, that at the end of the day, whatever it is we decide, we will get economic and financial benefits from whatever we decide. So it was a good day. It was good conversation. We really would like to be talking to you again tomorrow, God's willing. Thanks to everyone who made a contribution with a call, with a comment, by posting something. We were happy that you did. We hope you can join us tomorrow again, and you can encourage someone else to join. Listen, participate if you can. Have a good Wednesday. Oh, it's midweek Wednesday.
Yeah,
You know,
Wednesday.
it's always back in time. Wednesday, middle of the week. You know,
mhm.
I'm not telling you where I go on a Wednesday and what I do, but do enjoy your Wednesday afternoon and hope to be with you tomorrow, God's willing. Thank you very much.
Guys, it's always a pleasure being here with you in whatever you say and whatever you do. Be safe, guys, and to be secure. Tomorrow we want to be talking with you, and we don't ever want to be talking about you. Please enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the national report. Have a wonderful day, guys.
SOD turned for work on $10.8 million improvement project at Bishop's College in Carriacou. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The government of Grenada continues to demonstrate its commitment to improving school infrastructure across the country. On Tuesday, the sod was turned for the start of the U.S. $10.8 million project to refurbish Bishop's College in Carriacou. The work under the Grenada Educational Enhancement Project, GEEP, will entail construction of a two-story multi-science block, reconstruction of the administrative wing, and refurbishment of the existing building. In a message shared at Tuesday's event, Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell said, government remains committed to ensuring that students are provided with an environment that is conducive to learning.
Young people are recognized globally as the leaders of tomorrow, and therefore, we must ensure that they are provided with an opportunity to learn and grow in an environment that will appropriately nurture them to become the leaders we want them to be.
Dr. Mitchell urged teachers, staff, and students, along with parents, to look past the inconveniences that may arise during the rehabilitation work, because these will pale in comparison to the potential benefits to be derived from the upgraded school. The Prime Minister noted that in addition to improving school infrastructure, projects such as these create much-needed employment opportunities.
As countries all over the world continue to battle with the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic, the employment generated by projects become even more important. In the midst of growing unemployment in various sectors, the jobs created by these projects provide a beacon of hope for persons who may have been otherwise unemployed. Therefore, as part of our strategy to help revitalize the local economy and create employment, government is refocusing its commitment to the implementation of capital projects such as these.
Dr. Mitchell said it's a win-win situation. Jobs are created and workers are better able to provide for their families. The country's school infrastructure is improved, educators are more motivated to teach, and students benefit from enhanced learning environments. Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Peter David says government is anticipating the implementation of the new diaspora policy, which will promote the involvement of Grenadians overseas in the development of the country. On Tuesday, Minister David made the announcement during the government's weekly post-cabinet media brief. The document has been funded and developed by the International Organization for Migration. Minister David said a draft policy document was submitted to the overseas communities for discussion and to Cabinet to be reviewed. He emphasized that the diaspora should be seen equally for its importance to development initiatives as it is seen for remittances.
The issue of diaspora involvement, we remain committed to ensure that the diaspora is involved in the development of this country. The diaspora is not only important if we want them to send some stuff to us. That is important. Remittances are extremely important to our budget and to the maintenance of many persons in Grenada. But it is not the only thing. The diaspora must become involved in the development of this country in several other ways. And as I said before, and I repeat, not only materially, but with respect to their ideas. I repeat again, my view of the diaspora as the 16th constituency, they are extremely important, though they do not have voting rights. Staying in the diaspora and voting, they have the right to involvement in the development of this country. And we are, through this diaspora policy, trying to find a mechanism that does not make it dependent on any particular government or any particular person.
Grenadians in the diaspora will soon have a direct contact on island where concerns and ideas can be shared and contributions can be made. The government is hopeful that by year end, the draft document will become government's policy on diaspora.
We will be establishing an office of the diaspora in St. George's where persons can go to speak about diaspora issues. We will be establishing that office. We are currently in talks with a particular ministry in that regard. We will make an announcement in due course, but we'll put the infrastructure in place and the policy in place to ensure that the diaspora remains an integral part, but not doing what we've always done to find new ways of getting them involved in development. For example, there's no reason why the diaspora should not be involved in actual development projects. There's no reason why the diaspora cannot come together or do it individually or collectively to work on development projects. They are as important as any other investor in coming into Grenada.
Continuing the news, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, has welcomed Monday's announcement by Sandals that close to 600 team members have returned to work. Over the next few weeks, the workers will be trained in Sandals' premium protocols of cleanliness ahead of the planned reopening of the luxury resort on October 1st, 2020. The protocols, according to the Sandals press release, ensure the strictest health and hygiene guidelines and have allowed the company to successfully reopen several other resorts in Antigua, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and Barbados. At a meeting with top Sandals executives on Sunday, Dr. Mitchell was appraised of the hotel's plans and he welcomed the workers' return to work. Dr. Mitchell said, and I quote, "This is exciting news for Grenada. We look forward to the reopening of the hotel and to resume welcoming visitors to our shores. This will largely signal the resumption of activity in the tourism sector, which has been particularly hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. What is even more heartwarming is that hundreds of our nationals are returning to work after 6 months. This is good news on a personal level for these employees and for the suppliers of goods and services who benefit indirectly from the hotel's operations. On a wider scale, it is also good news for the country, and I am truly heartened by this announcement." Unquote. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
The house was shaking. Then suddenly saw we hear bang, crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Welcome back. The Grenada Food and Nutrition Council last week engaged approximately 20 officers of the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands and the Climate Smart and Rural Enterprise Program, SIAP, educating them on the nutrient contents benefits and utilization of selected crops in the preparation and consumption of healthy meals. This training is part of the knowledge transfer process by the organization to help families across Grenada understand the importance of concise nutrition, meal planning on the crops provided in the COVID-19 Backyard Garden Kit.
The preparation session that we conducted in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and the CIEP program, this would provide participants with information, because the whole thing is the training of trainers. We are training these extension officers and the CIEP workers to get information on the nutritional benefits of the items that were given, the planting items that was given to the beneficiaries, so they know what it contains and how to prepare and preserve these items. And as a result, we hope that people would grow what they eat and eat what they grow.
That's Jessie Douglas, Community Nutrition Supervisor at the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. Under the ministry's backyard gardening program, over 500 vulnerable households in Grenada will receive assistance. A program of such magnitude will help to alleviate hunger, reduce levels of imported foods, and increase the amount of local food consumed. The officers explain how they were able to benefit from the training.
We will be better able to advise the beneficiaries of the CIEP program into how they can use the various vegetables and staples and so on.
It speaks to a sense of being local and sticking with everything that you have grown in your country. And I think people would more be, I'd say, inclined to participating in something like that, into having these things at home, introducing it to their children and so. It cuts off on expenses. So immediately, as people hear that, it's something that they want to be into.
The Food and Nutrition Council is currently holding a similar training on the utilization of selected agricultural crops on the sister isle of Carriacou. Finally, in the news, 2 women were among the graduates of a 2-week aircraft rescue and firefighting training at the Maurice Bishop International Airport. 30 trainees received certificates on completion of the exercise held at the training room at the airport.
It is an honor to address you once again, this time at your graduation ceremony. I am sure it has been a long and hard-working 2 weeks of training. Let me thank immensely the facilitators of the RGPF, my HR team, and members of our operations team who work tirelessly to complete this task. To the graduates today, the most influential step in your life is what you're taking today.
Mrs. Wendy Francette Williams, General Manager at the Grenada Airport Authority. Inspector Mark St. Paul, the officer in charge of the fire department at the airport, said the training, which consists of 1 week theoretical and 1 week practical work, is vital to the RGPF's drive towards ensuring qualification.
Among us all, there are competent and qualified individuals, firefighters, that can deliver the goods. And while we were pondering as to where we're going to get instructors from, where we're going to get people to conduct the training and provide that material, that literature and so on, we had to inform the CEO and her team that we are competent enough and we do have the skilled and the expertise within the fire department and the RGPF to perform these tasks.
That story just ended the national report for today, Tuesday, September 22nd. Let's recap the top story. SORD turned for work on $10.8 million improvement project at Bishop's College in Carriacou. On behalf of the entire news and production team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.